Welcome to the inaugural KLSU Bracket Challenge. I'm Joey Giglio, and I am joined in studio with Dean Jerry Ceppos. Thank you so much, Dean, for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me.
And looking at the bracket, we got a pretty wide open field. Dean, what do you look for when you're choosing your teams?
Well, I go for upsets, so you're going to see me. You're going to see me saying Wichita State's going to do pretty well. I think the momentum behind them, the excitement, the fans, and the incredible record, the 34-0 record, that actually carries a lot of weight for me. Probably more than it carries for people who really know what they're doing. But you're gonna see me favor them. And then in terms of the no surprise category, I think Florida is as good as everybody says it is.
Okay, well, let's stop the people from waiting, and here you go.
Okay.
And we have in the first round game, we have the University of Florida, who have not lost since December 2nd of 2013. And they will be playing the winner of Albany and Mount St. Mary's. Dean, we won't make you choose the Mount St. Mary's Albany matchup, but wise choice with the Gators right there. And in this 8-9 matchup, Colorado-Pittsburgh.
That's a tough one.
It is a tough one. Colorado, as Campbell said in our other video with Student Government President John Woodard, Colorado lost their best player in January. They've kind of slowed down a little bit, but were good enough to right the ship and get into the tournament, going against a Pittsburgh team who made the transition this year from the Big East. Jamie Dixon, always a pretty good coach. What are you thinking about this one?
I'm thinking about Colorado despite problems that they've had.
They've been able to manage so far without their starting point guard. We'll see how far their tournament run goes here. An interesting matchup here, 5-12. Stephen F. Austin, only 2 losses on the season. VCU usually playing the upset role, but you usually tend to see your upsets happen at 5-12. VCU in unfamiliar territory as the favorite here. Dean, what are you thinking?
I'm going to go out on a limb and go with Stephen F. Austin.
All right, the Lumberjacks making a statement.
Right.
Here we got UCLA, winners of their past 11 out of 12 games, led by 6'9" point guard Kyle Anderson, taking on the Tulsa Golden Hurricanes. What are you thinking about this?
Gotta be UCLA.
Wise choice. I mean, that's where basically college basketball was started. Some would argue also in Rupp Arena in Lexington, but you got to go with the Wizard of Westwood.
Right.
Still looking over them. Then we have an in-state matchup between Ohio State and the Dayton Flyers.
Clearly Ohio State.
Led by senior point guard Aaron Kraft. Pretty wise choice right there. And then we got Syracuse and Western Michigan. Syracuse having a bit of an irregular season, making the transition from the Big East to the ACC. Right. Started off 25-0. Have lost 5 out of 7 since. Looking to get back on the horse for the bracket time now.
I'm going to go with Syracuse, but I don't think they're going to go very far, but they're going to get this far anyway.
Getting the first round win.
Right.
Jim Boeheim's definitely good enough for a first round win, no doubt. And then I know you have some affiliation to Palo Alto.
I do.
So this could be, is this a bit of a sentimental pick, or are you going with New Mexico Lobos?
It's funny, I've got conflicts here. I headed the team that looked at the journalism program in New Mexico last fall, so I like New Mexico. But after 30 years in the San Francisco Bay Area, it's got to be Stanford.
Going with the Cardinal.
Yep.
Indeed. Then we have the Jayhawks from Kansas going up against Eastern Kentucky.
KU's not going to go very far, but they'll go this far.
Okay. And there you have your first round in the South bracket, of this entire bracket. We have Florida, Colorado, Stephen F. Austin, the Bruins, Ohio State, Syracuse, Stanford, and Kansas. Dean, who do you like in the third round matchup of Florida and Colorado?
Florida again.
Billy Donovan's senior-laden club, prime for a deep run in the tournament this year. They've made the Elite Eight 3 straight years. see if they get past it later on. But UCLA, Stephen F. Austin, do you think the slipper fits on the Lumberjacks?
No, I think it's UCLA.
Okay. Bruins again, and then very interesting matchup here. Ohio State, Syracuse, two teams that really start off the season as hot as can be. Really kind of fell into a mid-season funk for the Buckeyes, more of a late-season funk for the Orange.
Right.
I guess it's a question of who is going to step up in the tournament.
Ohio State.
The Buckeyes. Thad Matta coming through, beating Jim Boeheim. And then Stanford and Kansas.
Clearly Stanford.
There we have it. The 2 seed is gone. Rock Chalk Jayhawk. See you later. And then we have in our Sweet 16 matchups of the South bracket, we have the Bruins from Westwood, California, taking on the Florida Gators out of Gainesville.
Florida.
Good choice right there. Florida having Scotty Wolbekin, SEC Player of the Year. I think you made a good selection there.
I'm not influenced by the fact that I'll be in Gainesville in about 10 days for their Journalism Hall of Fame stuff. But yeah, I'll go with the Gators.
Well, make sure you show them this video, which will be on the KLSU Sports Facebook page. You can show them that you had their back selecting the Gators this far at least.
Right.
Who do you like going to the Elite Eight to play Florida for that Final Four spot? Stanford Cardinal. And then making the Final Four out of the South bracket, you have the 10 seed Stanford Cardinal versus the heavy favorite, number 1, Florida Gators.
I got to give up my Silicon Valley favoritism and say Florida.
All right. So there you have it. The overall number 1 seed getting the first spot in the Final Four for the Dean's KLSU bracket. Moving down to the East region, we have the UVA Cavaliers taking on the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers.
Being a Maryland alum, it kills me to say Virginia, but I'm going to say Virginia.
Yeah, I can't blame you on that. Virginia having the surprise team of the year possibly to the entire NCAA, winning the ACC regular season and then beating Duke in the conference tournament. Very impressive performance from the
Anybody
Wahoos.
who beats Duke I like, so it's okay.
And then we have in the 8-9 seed toss-up, we have the Memphis Tigers taking on George Washington. This one can really go either way, but how do you see it playing out?
Now, since my dad went to GW, I'll say GW.
All right. And then we have in the 5-12 matchup, like I said, this is where some of your upsets tend to happen. You have the Harvard Crimson going up against the Cincinnati Bearcats. Who do you like?
I think Harvard.
Just kind of setting you up for that one. I was hoping you kind of said that. The Harvard Crimson winning the Ivy League regular season and postseason tournament. And then going down, we have the Michigan State Spartans led by Hall of Fame coach Tom Izzo taking on 13 seed Delaware.
Michigan
State. A team that's really been injured a lot of the season. Really played well in the Big Ten tournament, winning that tournament. Might be catching their stride at the right time. And below that, we have the 6 seed University of North Carolina Tar Heels against number 11 Providence, who won the Big East tournament, finished runner-up in the Big East tournament, upset Creighton, in fact. So they're playing good basketball as well right now.
Well, as an old ACC person, I'll say UNC.
Roy Williams does have his team playing a lot better toward the end of the season. And we have another North Carolina team, and maybe a less familiar one, North Carolina Central, trying to upset the number 3 Big 12 champions, Iowa State Cyclones.
I think Iowa State is strong.
Hopefully you did some knee bends before getting in here.
Too old for those.
Yeah, we're going to have to go a little lower for this one. We got, in the 7-10 game, we have UConn taking on St. Joseph's. UConn, the Huskies. Another team that's really played well through their conference tournament. Also might be in their stride as well. We will see. And then in the 15-2 matchup, we have Villanova versus University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee.
Yeah, Villanova.
Villanova. And you can stay right there if you want, and you can decide your UConn-Villanova game real quick. Make it a little easier on the back. March is a pretty busy month. We're going to need you for the whole way.
Yeah, right. I'll say Villanova.
All right, taking Villanova. Now we can continue to work our way up. In the third round, you have UNC, Iowa State. Who do you like in this 6-3 matchup?
I think Iowa State.
Okay, choosing the Cyclones. And then we have the 12 seed Harvard Crimson going against Tom Izzo's boys, the Michigan State Spartans.
That's a toughie. I'll say Michigan State.
Going with the experience right
Yeah.
there. And are you taking Dad's alma mater against the number 1 seeded Cavaliers?
Yeah, I think I'll take.
Yeah? All right. And the number 1 and our first number 1 seed falls. See you later, UVA.
Right.
All right. I don't think Tom Izzo would mind that playing that, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not sure too many people would have a rundown like this, but hey.
Hashtag why not?
Right.
And who do you like out of the Spartans and George Washington?
The Spartans.
All right. Kind of, it all balances out at the end sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes, though, it is March Madness after all. Who do you like out of the 2-3 matchup, Iowa State, Villanova?
I'm going to say Villanova.
All right, taking Nova. And out of the East bracket, in the Elite Eight, who do you have reaching the Final Four to play Florida in that Final Four matchup? Personally, I would take Michigan's. Villanova lost in their first round of the Big East tournament. They haven't been playing their best basketball. On the other side, Michigan State coming off of Big Ten Conference Championship. I think Michigan State is certainly the hotter team right now, but anything can happen once it gets that far.
I'll go with your thought, Michigan State.
All right. So we have Billy Donovan and Michigan. We have Billy Donovan and his Florida Gators, and Tom Izzo and his Michigan State Spartans advancing to the Final Four.
That would be a good game.
That would be a great game. That's a rematch of the 2000 National Championship, actually, when Michigan State and Tom Izzo got his first title against Florida.
Right.
So those foes are certainly familiar as we move to our West bracket. And going over to our other side of the bracket, the West Coast and the Midwest, two of the harder brackets in the field. Dean, how do you see this side possibly shaking out? Do you think that it's going to be more of the upsets or more of the favorites coming out of this?
Well, I know one upset for sure, Wichita State. Or maybe it's not an upset, but
34-0, it's hard to say, but historically
right.
You're right.
Exactly. But I see a few upsets here. I think this is interesting. Although for the first game, I think it's pretty clear.
Arizona, very steady team throughout the season, only losing 4 games on the entire season, led by freshman Aaron Gordon, who will be a lottery pick this upcoming June in the NBA draft. Yes, sir. 8-9 game, Gonzaga, Oklahoma State. Gonzaga, a team that traditionally always seems to make some noise in the tournament. I know Professor Jay Shelley would be happy to hear that. But Oklahoma State, a team that a lot of people say have never really fully reached their full potential this season. Marcus Smart, one of the most dynamic players, another future lottery pick in the NBA draft. A lot of people seeing this shake out either way, but how do you see it?
I see Oklahoma State.
Taking OK State, the Cowboys coming out firing. Their mascot's name is actually Pistol Pete, not to be confused with the real Pistol Pete, though. And then we have 5 seed Oklahoma Sooners taking on 12 North Dakota State.
I'm going to surprise you here.
All right. The Dean taking North Dakota State over the Sooners, sending them packing early. What do you think about
They're
it?
good at hockey, too.
Yeah. Okay, I'll keep note of that. They're actually an excellent Division II football program as well. They're one of the finest ones.
Right.
4-13, we got 2 state schools going off against each other, 2 kind of neighbors, if you will. San Diego State going off against New Mexico State. San Diego State having a very successful season. Surprisingly, did not win their conference championship, however.
Okay, I'm an old Cal State fan, so I'm going to say San Diego State.
Okay. Taking the Aztecs.
Right.
And then we have number 6 Baylor, who made it all the way to the Big 12 championship, going against Nebraska, the 11 seed, who a lot of people are actually picking to not only beat Baylor, but go kind of far in the tournament. Nebraska, a high-scoring team, but Baylor has a lot of length. It's going to be a very interesting matchup.
Yeah, it sounds like a great game. I'm actually going to go with the obvious choice, Baylor, even if it's not obvious to everybody.
Okay, and now we have reached the game where that will feature the only Louisiana team in the March Madness tournament, the Raging Cajuns, out of UL Lafayette, drawing the 3rd seed Creighton Blue Jays, led by now the 5th leading scorer all-time of NCAA basketball, Doug McDermott, who, fun fact, is the coach's son at that. So basketball IQ is high for the Blue Jays,
right.
as well as with the Raging Cajuns. How do you see this happening?
Well, I'm going to be unpopular and say Creighton.
Okay.
But I'll root for ULL.
But you'll root, all right.
How's that?
Playing it politically correct.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And then we have the 7-10 game, the Oregon Ducks taking on the BYU Cougars. Oregon having a big upset earlier of about 2 weeks ago against Arizona. Played well in the Pac-12 championship, however, not good enough. BYU, on the other hand, pretty steady all season long.
I'll go with Oregon.
Taking the Ducks.
Yep.
In this, only in the KLSU bracket challenge will you ever see the Ducks beat the Cougars.
Right.
Now we have in our 2-15 the 2-seeded Wisconsin Badgers taking on American University.
Wisconsin.
All right, and
now
it gets fun. Who do you like out of Oklahoma State and Arizona? Arizona taking the Wildcats. And then we have another state school matchup, North Dakota State versus San Diego State. San Diego State reaching as high as the 4th overall team in the country. Very successful season for the Aztecs. Taking the Aztecs as well. And then to go to the Sweet 16, Baylor, Creighton. Taking the Blue Jays once again, led by Dougie McBuckets. And then we have 7-seed Oregon taking on 2-seed Wisconsin. I've seen in a few people's brackets choose Oregon. Bud Ryan's team, though, always pretty. Oh yeah.
Yep.
You're gonna take the Ducks, okay? The West Coast colors are showing strong.
They are.
That's okay, though. That's okay.
So subtle, right?
That is fine. So, very interesting matchup right here. San Diego State, Arizona. For a lot of people that haven't been up, I guess late enough at night to see San Diego State play, don't sleep on the Aztecs. They are a very good team. Made a very deep run into the tournament last year. How do you see this shaking out?
Do some more analysis.
Yeah, San Diego State, a team that really likes to get up and down the court. They can run. They can keep up with Arizona, no doubt. Arizona has shown that they are capable of the big situations themselves, winning a lot of close games on the road in the Pac-12, which a lot of people see translating to the tournament when it's held at a neutral site.
Right. I think I'll take Arizona.
All right. And then you have Creighton versus Oregon to advance to the Elite Eight. And you're taking the Blue Jays, and down goes one. I thought we were going to see a Pac-12 matchup in the Elite Eight there.
I had to confuse you a little
All
bit.
right, so who do you have coming out of the West to go to the Final Four? Arizona, Creighton, two contrasting styles right here. Creighton would probably like to slow the tempo down against Arizona, but it's going to be hard to dominate the pace of the game with a team like Arizona. and you have Arizona, number 1 seed, joining fellow number 1 seed Florida Gators, and also the 4 seed Michigan State Spartans in the Final Four. Moving down to the last and final bracket, and I've been waiting. I saved this one for last because this is the toss-up bracket. A lot of people, a lot of good teams in this bracket. They feature 3 of the 4 Final Four teams from last year, including defending champion Louisville Cardinals.
Right.
Dean, take it away on this one because it could play out any way.
Sentimental for me geographically would be Cal Poly, but as I said before, I think the spirit of Wichita State is going to take them a long way.
Okay, and you mentioned the spirit. Kentucky's spirit probably hasn't been higher all season after only losing the SEC championship to Florida by 8 points.
Right.
How do you see it matching out Kentucky, Kansas State?
Kentucky.
John Calipari's boys are really starting to round into shape. The freshmen really starting to get it comfortable out there.
Right.
You can tell in their dramatic SEC championship against Florida the other day. You have 5 seed St. Louis. Now, NC State and Xavier have to play the play-in game, so you're kind of at a disadvantage of who the opponent's going to be. St. Louis has been pretty steady all year. NC State, however, pretty hot team right now, showed up really well in the ACC tournament, and you are taking the pack, the Wolf Pack, against the Billikens of St. Louis. Moving on down, you have the Manhattan Jaspers, one of my favorite mascots in this tournament, going up against the defending national champions, Louisville Cardinals.
Louisville's not as strong as it was, but I'm going to take Louisville.
You always look toward the coaches in this tournament, and Rick Pitino certainly has the resume. Moving on down, we have a similar situation to the NC State Xavier. You don't know who UMass is playing yet. Iowa, haven't really seen much of them. Tennessee, pretty hot right now. But UMass, I think they made as far as 20-0 on the season.
Wow.
All right. The selection right there has been made to UMass.
I'm gonna have to choose Duke in the next. A good Maryland guy would never do that.
Oh no, I'm sure that kills some Terp alums.
Right. However,
got to go with your head.
Yep.
Got to go with the head
and
over
Maryland's
heart.
no longer in the ACC anyway, so.
Right. And then you have a bit of a toss-up right here.
Yeah, I think it is.
2 similar teams right here. The 7 seed Texas Longhorns versus number 10 Arizona State Sun Devils. Going with Tejas.
Right.
And then 2 seed Michigan Wolverines, the national championship loser last year, the Michigan Wolverines, taking on the Big South's Wofford.
Yep. Michigan.
Going with the Wolverines.
Yep.
And then, since I want to save this game for our last selection, let's keep it right here. Who do you like out of Texas and Michigan?
Probably Michigan.
Michigan coming off a heartbreaking loss to rival Michigan State in the Big Ten tournament, has a very successful season. Who do you see? Now, this game is very interesting with UMass and Duke. And again, 2 kind of contrasting styles. Duke certainly has more size, but UMass might have the advantage with speed. UMass, a team that also beat LSU in their season opener as well.
I'm going to go with Duke.
Going with the Devils. Pretty hard to select against Coach K.
Yep.
And then you have the NC State Wolfpack playing the Louisville Cardinals. How do you see that happening?
Louisville.
Taking the Cardinals.
I keep saying they're not as good as they were, but I keep choosing them.
They might not be national championship good, but they're definitely good enough for a Sweet 16 appearance. And what could be the most interesting matchup of this third round,
I agree.
You have the 34-0 undefeated Wichita State Shockers taking on the, I guess, much disappointing to a lot of people, Kentucky Wildcats. However, Kentucky
still not bad.
Has their sight on the ultimate prize, and they might be hitting their stride right now. How do you see this playing out?
This would be another great game to watch. I'm going to say Wichita State.
Going with the Shockers. I like that call. Led by Scott Van Vliet, the Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year, and Cleanthony Early. So you have Wichita State going against the defending national champs right here in Louisville.
Wichita State.
Taking the Shockers. I
Yep.
like it. Sticking to your guns.
Yep. I may give up at some point here. But
Okay, now you have, to go to the Elite Eight, 2 Final Four teams from last year, Duke and Michigan.
I think finally Duke will be knocked out.
All right.
And a good thing it is.
And in a matchup of 2 Final Four teams from last year, who do you see repeating the accomplishment and going back?
I'm going to surprise you.
All right. You're going to shock us?
I'm going to shock you.
All
How'd
right.
you know?
Wichita State, the number 1 seed. So there you have it. Dean, Jerry Ceppos' Final Four. We have the number 1 seed, Florida Gators. 4 seed, Michigan State Spartans. The 1 seed, Arizona Wildcats. And the number 1 seed, Wichita State Shockers. Dean, I'm going to let you select which side you'd like to approach first in your Final Four, which will be held in Dallas.
This side is easier.
Taking the Gators to advance to the national championship. Billy Donovan seeking his 3rd championship. And who do you like coming out of the other side of the bracket in a matchup of 2 number 1 seeds, 2 of the most consistent teams all year?
Well, speaking of consistency.
The model of consistency
Yeah,
this
right.
year, Wichita State. So you have the 2 most consistent teams on the year, 2 teams that have not lost in the year 2014, with Florida's last loss coming in December, and Wichita State has not lost since last year's Final Four. Dean, take it away. How do you see this game playing out?
Well, I'm afraid that despite Wichita State being the Final Four last time, the history and the experience of Florida and the Florida machine and the ability of Florida to draw, in my view, from a bigger pool of recruits than Wichita State. My heart is with Wichita State, but my brain is with Florida, so I'm going to say UF.
Taking the Florida Gators, definitely going to make that conference in Gainesville a little easier on your colleagues.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll have to show, we're going to take a picture of this in a minute, and yeah, I think that's what it's going to be. But boy, it's a really fun lineup.
Yeah, very fun year. And you can participate in the first inaugural KLSU Sports Bracket Challenge. You can find the link to the bracket on our website, on our Facebook page at facebook.com/KLSU Sports. And when it asks for a password, go Tigers, simple enough. Dean, thank you so much for coming in here.
Thanks for having me.
And have a great March.